Good evening and welcome to this evening's edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Braden Robinson.
And I'm meteorologist Jonathan Bellis.
And thank you for joining us on this somber day in American history due to the events of September 11th, 2001. Real quickly, we just want to say that our hearts go out to those who lost their lives in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania on this day. And we'd also like to honor the first responders who helped in the situation. Definitely a very important situation that they did a lot for, and some of them lost their lives. And we just want to say that our hearts go out to them, and we appreciate all they've done for our country. But let's bring it back to weather, where Hurricane Humberto has finally become a hurricane.
Yeah, we were just 6 hours away from breaking an Atlantic record for the latest hurricane forming it on record.
Absolutely. The latest hurricane was back in 2002, formed at 8 a.m. This day, 11 years ago, this morning at 8 a.m. However, this year it formed at 5 a.m. With winds 75 miles an hour at 5 a.m., which is the bare minimum to get hurricane strength.
And it's continued to strengthen, and thankfully for us here on land, really, there's no threat to land from Humberto.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to move in. It's going to move up to the north and kind of fizzle out into a tropical storm over the next couple days into the weekend. However, hurricane season doesn't end until November 30th, so plenty of time for more hurricanes to form. Let's get a quick check of your weather right now with Troy.
Alrighty, thank you guys. And we're going to take a look at your today's headlines. Finally, we have the first hurricane of the season. It finally took all these months right near the peak of the season. What better time to have our first hurricane than right near the peak of the hurricane season? And we'll have more on that later in the tropical update, which Jason will have later on. But we will have the chance for rain as we head to later in the weekend. And I know for those of you that are going to the Seminole game on Saturday, you probably just don't want that. But we'll talk about more of that later in the segment. And we will finally see the chance for some refreshing temperatures as we head later in the week. Now, looking ahead at your satellite radar across much of the country, you can see that we have a lot of showers popping up across much of the region. But I want to focus on the southeast, particularly locally. Right now, not a whole lot going on right now, but as I step out of the way, we do have some showers coming up from that upper level low, and we'll Conrad more on that in your local. But in the meantime, let's throw it back up to the desk with John and Brady.
Yeah, around the nation, actually the big story right now is some cooler temperatures, the actual major cool front of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. The start of meteorological autumn started on September 1st, and we're starting to see those cooler temperatures up in the Midwest.
Yeah, temperatures today in Indianapolis topped out at 95 degrees. And by the end of this week, they're going to be dropping nearly in half to around 45 degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. The forecast low Saturday morning for Indianapolis is 45 degrees, about a temperature drop of 30 degrees from the low temperature that was today to low temperature Saturday morning.
And that 30-degree swing is going to be felt across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic and could be upwards of 50 degrees in some spots.
Absolutely. Let's move into Mexico now, where from Tropical Storm Ferdinand back a couple weeks ago and Tropical Depression 8, in total, 21 people have died in mudslides out in Mexico.
Yeah, it's crazy out there. And where it's also crazy, in San Francisco, where they actually had an odd lightning day.
Absolutely. They usually only get 2 lightning days a year, and today was one of the first days. Very interesting to have lightning in San Francisco. However, we'll go out to a local look of your weather with Connor.
And thanks, guys. Yeah, well, we're not going to experience some of those temperatures you talked about that they're experiencing up in the Midwest, but we did get up high of 93 today, so it wasn't the most comfortable out there, lower 90s, and unfortunately the low tonight is still going to be quite summer-like in the low 70s. And if you realize earlier today, it was feeling a little bit drier in the morning time, but then as the day went along, we did increase in that humidity. Now, right now, what are we experiencing? Still those lower 90s, 91 degrees. Unfortunately, those temperatures are slow to fall, but we did have a few pop-up showers that did come through that might have helped some of you lower those temperatures and, cool it down a little bit. Dew points tonight still quite uncomfortable, upper 60s, and that humidity at 44%, but will be rising throughout the next couple of days, which I will talk about in just a couple minutes. Now, as we do move in until tomorrow, we will see more rainfall, possibly. Right now, we can see on the radar, though, Tallahassee right there. We just got some few showers popping into the area. We can see from the east, and this is associated with that high upper level low that Troy just mentioned, and that is bringing in a lot more rainfall towards the area. We also have the sea breeze that is working in and all the way from the Atlantic actually to help spark some of these storms. And those will continue into the overnight hours. And again, into tomorrow, the rain chances will stick around and actually increase for our game day forecast. So if you do plan on going to the first home game of the season, which I know I will be going to, it looks like that rain will pick up as we do go through the day. It is a 3:30 in the afternoon game. Peak heating of the day, so that will increase our chances for rain at that time. Now, current temperatures, as I just mentioned, 91 here in Tallahassee, a little bit cooler in Monticello where that rain, cooled air has taken place, 86 there, and down in 73 towards Perry, a little bit cooler towards the coast, which we do expect during this time as that sea breeze, typically the Gulf Coast sea breeze, can kick in a little bit and cool those temperatures off. Current winds right now, though, only about 5 to 10 miles an hour, and those will stick around as we do go into the evening hours and in tomorrow. Pretty nice out there. If you do get one of those downbursts of rain, you might see a little bit cooler air coming from that, so it'd be a nice cool breeze. But most of us right now just ranging about 5 to 10 miles an hour out there. Now, tonight's forecast, as I mentioned, it's still it's pretty comfortable for this time of year, 71 with a 20% chance of rain, cooling down just slightly. Unfortunately, not those cool temperatures like they are experiencing up in the Midwest. Partly cloudy, and again, those winds are keeping in. Tomorrow, very similar to today, 92 degrees. It's going to be another possibility of rain chance tomorrow at 20%. And the 7-day forecast right now, looking at the low 90s, increasing for that rain game day forecast at 50%. But Nikki, tell me more about the southeast forecast.
All right, thanks, Connor. We're going to go ahead and check out the rainfall since midnight last night. And associated with this upper level low that will be moving off to the east in the next couple of days, we did get some moisture brought across the state, especially to the south, 0.71 in Miami. So we definitely saw some rainfall, definitely brought the moisture back into our area. But back home in Tallahassee, we did see a little bit of a cool down, dried up a little bit today, not as much moisture in the air. But that moisture did increase as the day went on. We did see some rainfall off to the east associated with that upper level low that brought in a lot of that moisture. We're going to go ahead and take a look though at the current conditions across the southeast. Quite a warm day once again. 90s across the border, 87 in Orlando, 78 down in Miami. They did see a lot of rain today, so it did drop the temperature just a tad bit, and 85 down south in Key West. So really quite warm, not so much fun, especially if you were outside. I know I was sweating on my way to class. Let's go ahead and take a look at our future cast though. This high pressure system will be moving off into the Carolinas, bringing in a little bit of that flow, and then that moisture will be building for game day. So possibility of a shower or two while you're out there watching the Seminoles kick off on Saturday at 3:30. So make sure you bring that raincoat if you do go ahead and go out. That frontal system will go ahead and move on down, and that'll also increase the storms just a tad bit into the remainder of next week. But as next week does come along, we will see a little bit of a drop in temperatures, possibly up to 3 degrees. So it'll be looking pretty nice out there, especially at the beginning of next work week. Let's go ahead and take a look though at our satellite and radar. This is where you can really see that upper level low I'm talking about. That spin right over there across Savannah, Orlando, the bands just stretching across most of the state of Florida. Really will be bringing some of that moisture in, especially down there in Key West and Miami where those temperatures were quite cooler, bringing in a little bit of moisture, so some rain, possible scattered showers for the remainder of the evening and drying back out tomorrow afternoon. On the water though right now, we can see a great day for boating, a light chop with sunrise at 7:20 a.m. and tonight's forecast. Really not much of a cool down, guys. 71 in Tallahassee, 65 in Montgomery. So of course, a little bit cooler up to the north, but across the state of Florida, really just seeing the 70s once again, 79 in Key West. So really like 10 degrees, not much difference at all. But for tomorrow's forecast, another hot one ahead, 93 degrees, 91 in Orlando, Miami at 88, 94 in Monticello. So a really hot and not so enjoyable day in terms of weather back here in Florida. Let's go ahead and take a look though back at the desk with Today in Weather History with Braden and John.
On this day in weather history, way back in 1949, we were looking at a epic snowstorm that brought 7.5 inches of snow to Helena, Montana.
Absolutely, a very early snowstorm. We're talking about middle September here, bringing 7.5 inches of snow. And also on the same day in Maine, a storm brought 8.05 inches of rain to the town of New Brunswick in 24 hours. That is a state record for the amount of rainfall in one city.
Yeah, and bumping up it in time, in 1986, thunderstorms caused flash flooding and river flooding in the central lower Michigan area And that's an area that they don't get a whole lot of rainfall.
Absolutely, and they don't get a whole lot of rainfall, so when you get that rainfall mixed with those rivers, it definitely increases the amount of flooding in the area, caused $400 million in damage.
14 inches in just under 72 hours. That's a lot of rainfall.
Absolutely. However, we're talking about the local in the southeast. Let's see what's going on with the rest of the nation with Nicole.
All right, thanks guys. Those are some great facts that you had. Let's take a look at the current temperatures across the U.S. Of course, right now, fall is not officially here for us. Over in the east, those high temperatures, 87 in Memphis, 89 in New Orleans, 89 in Dallas. But take a look at the Four Corners. We have a low pressure system sitting right over them right now, bringing on those cooler temperatures as the rain is coming down currently. Let us move forward and take a look at our satellite and radar. You can see that this rain band is wrapping around right now, bringing on those showers, as there is also some dry air pushing up. And the big story is this cold front that will be pushing through. You can see right now that there is a lot of moisture and rain pushing into the northeast, and that will be pushing down into our neck of the woods later. Moving forward, we do have a low pressure system also down sitting over Florida, which will be bringing on those temperatures. Let us send it back over to the desk right now as they take us on a nice little excursion explaining some topics in weather.
All right. Well,
Thank you, Nicole.
I'm not even ready yet.
I know. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about this. What happened back in September 11th, 2001. Actually, the weather was impacted along with many others.
That's right. In fact, you know, obviously a sad day, and the weather, I guess you could say, was kind of crying too, because it was actually cooler than normal around the country because we had some, well, cooler than normal temperatures, lack of planes flying.
Exactly.
The Federal Aviation Administration canceled the flights for 3 days around the country, and that dropped temperatures during the day and kept them a little higher at night because of those lack of contrails. Pretty interesting stuff.
Exactly like that. We're actually going to go ahead and take things back out right now with Chris at the local weather. All right, moving right back into our satellite and radar. As I said, there's that rain wrapping around in the Four Corners. But let's take a closer look across the whole U.S. Seattle right now, dry. Who would have thunk it, but it is dry right now in the rainy city. Taking things down to those Four Corners, again, you can see all of that rain wrapping around, really bringing in those cooler temperatures. You can also see this plume of dry air being pulled up from that counterclockwise motion. Here is that cold front that is pushing into the northeast right now. We do have some storms building, and there are several severe thunderstorm warnings across Pennsylvania and New York. Taking things back home to our neck of the woods, that low pressure system is wrapping into our area, so we have a potential for some pop-up showers for the rest of the week. Take a look at this temperature gradient. That cold front is going to be pushing on through, bringing on those colder temperatures all across the U.S., especially into the northeast, and it may be pushing down into our neck of the woods, only a couple of degrees though. Tomorrow again, same story, those high temperatures as that cold front is pushing on, bringing the cooler temperatures along with it. Let's send it over to Chris as he takes us around our second local.
Thank you, Nicole. And yeah, we got a cold front on the way, but we still got to get through the next couple days and some rain for your weekend. I know the game's this weekend, so we'll keep an eye on the weather. But 93 was our high today, and we're going to see a replica tomorrow, but a little bit drier as we won't have that upper level disturbance move to the north. 91 though currently, we're going to see these temperatures continue to drop through the rest of your evening and back into the low 70s, so a nice mild morning, good, nice way to start it off with a jog, maybe before you go to class or work. Get outside and enjoy those cooler temperatures before you rise back up to the 90s once again. 91 is a similar story here in the capital city and Quincy at this hour. 87 in Mariana, and where we have seen the rain, there's where we have the cooler temperatures. 73 in Perry, and cooler off towards Lake City where they saw a lot more rain. And you can see that on the radar evidently with this spin of upper level low that is giving us a little bit of moisture and moving everything to the east because we got high pressure and an easterly flow off the Atlantic, and that's what's giving these push of showers over the Big Bend and the Panhandle. Now, broadening out the spectrum, you can see dry across the south from Mississippi over into Alabama and Georgia and the Carolinas. A little bit of moisture here in North Florida, but most of the rain was along the east coast and towards Miami, where they saw, a few inches of rain with that disturbance that will be moving to the north. Water vapor shows that dry air in place right over the southeast, along with that high pressure, which we'll see in your future cast. Now, you can see the high pressure right around Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and this is going to be moving off to the east in the next couple of days. That means tomorrow we'll see some more sunshine, but then come next week, or this weekend with your game and Saturday, we got some moisture building as a front comes down from the north and will actually bring us a few degrees colder by the beginning of next week. So that'll be good news, but we do have a little bit of a wet weekend in store, so we'll keep an eye on it. Basically your afternoon thunderstorm, so it won't be an all-day washout, but it will be quite comfortable come backside of the front Monday and Tuesday. 71 though will be your low tonight, a little bit cooler in the surrounding areas, maybe upper 60s as you go into South Georgia. Comfortable, great night to get outside and enjoy the beautiful temperatures, a little bit less humidity as a little bit drier air comes in tomorrow. 92 again, 20% chance of rain, maybe a shower or two, but the next 7 days shows that cooling trend into the beginning of next week after a rain-soaked Saturday. Maybe for the game we'll have to see, just bring the rain jackets just in case. We will have those afternoon chances, 50% chance of rain once again, but then back into the 60s by Tuesday and Wednesday. Already back into the Remembrance of September 11th. Quite interesting weather story, guys, at the desk.
Thank you so much, Chris. And yeah, more on the contrails actually. When the airplane aviation, or the federal air aviation, nope.
Aviation Administration.
Thank you so much, Tyler. When they stopped the planes from actually flying within those next 3 days after September 11th, it really did affect weather, especially in terms of temperature. The contrails were a huge story.
That's right, and this was all done by David Travis, who was a atmospheric science professor at the University of Wisconsin at Whitewater, and he talked about this, and again, kind of summarized that the nights were kind of warmer and the days were kind of cooler, but overall the contrails led to a net cooling of temperatures.
Exactly.
Very interesting stuff.
2 degrees Fahrenheit. But we're going to go ahead and send things back out to the wall right now with a look around Florida with John.
It's been a little bit rainy across northeastern Florida and the Panhandle today. Rain chances are right around 20 to 30% as an upper level low spins away just off the Jacksonville coast, and it's been pumping in moisture from the east towards the west, towards our area. And they've actually got some more moisture down there towards Miami to work with as a little bit of low pressure begins to form down in the Caribbean. This is pumping in moisture into the Key West and into Miami. You can see that upper level low here pumping away moisture, spinning counterclockwise over towards the Jacksonville Beach area and down towards the south. This will slowly push on towards the north and out of our hair into tomorrow, so it's actually going to be a little bit drier. Miami's been known for being hot, but today they're actually the cool spot for Miami. 78 degrees right now with clouds from West Palm Beach down to Key West. 91 is the warm spot right here in Tallahassee and also in Tampa. Quite dry for those areas, and what that low pressure system has been doing is pumping in some drier air from the north, from the Carolinas and over towards the mountainous areas of Tennessee and Alabama, and bringing it right down into our area. Down towards the south, anything above 70 degrees for the dew point is typically oppressive. Into the 60s, it's starting to feel a little bit better. We're sitting at 66, so it's feeling a little bit drier than it was yesterday at this time. And it's also being helped by some wind. That low pressure system is bringing in easterly winds 10 to 15 miles an hour across North Florida, a little bit less windy down towards the south because of the cloud cover, and there's also some wind down in Key West because of that moisture down in the Caribbean. Water temperatures, if you're heading out towards the Gulf, water temperatures at 85 degrees right around the Big Bend area, a little bit cooler off Tampa Bay and off into the loop current off the east coast of Florida, but really no complaints in terms of the water temperatures. We're looking at the winds at 5 to 10 knots off the Gulf Coast right now. No worries about the waves right now. 1 foot waves, good conditions if you're heading on out. Sunrise 7:20 a.m. for tomorrow if you're planning that trip. For tonight's forecast, a little bit cooler around the area. 74 in Pensacola, 71 here in Tallahassee, 74 in Fort Myers. For highs tomorrow, we're looking right back up into the 90s. 93 in Tallahassee, 92 in Pensacola. More showers down towards the south. Still, got to remember, summer for South Florida goes into early October before the pattern change really kicks into gear. 87 and 88 in South Florida, just because of all that cloud cover that will come in from the east as the sea breeze works into those areas. Expect lightning in the southern 2/3 of the state tomorrow, with rain chances right around 30%. How are we looking out in the tropics right now, Jason?
So far, it's actually becoming more gradual, more active now. We are getting to the peak of the hurricane season right around to mid-September. So we do expect more storms to be coming more into the play. Now, currently, we do have two systems in the Atlantic. Gabrielle is currently a tropical storm, and we have Hurricane Humberto, which is all the way out just to west of Cape Verde Islands into Africa. So certainly, respect to Florida and the U.S. coast, nothing to worry about currently. Now, let's go ahead, zoom on out a little with the Atlantic satellite. We do have a broad area of low pressure just to the east of the Lesser Antilles, and another broad area of low pressure into the Yucatan Peninsula, along with a depleting Gabrielle, all beginning to get up with the trough, and also Humberto all the way out into the Cape Verde Islands. Now let's go to Humberto first, the strongest hurricane now as of last night, of course, and 6 hours before that record would have been broken with the hurricane. Now currently we have it moving north at 10 miles an hour, just off to my left here. Now I put this in motion. It's going to be continuing to turn north, and then gradually as it rides up that high, now begin to turn west and currently stay as a fish storm. So going to Friday, we expect it to somewhat lose strength as it enters colder waters into Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Just continue to make a straight western path, picking up those colder waters, and really not expecting any landfall at U.S. at all. Remaining as a fish storm, that's a good thing about it. Current winds though at 85 miles an hour, gusts at 104. Pressure at 986 millibars, so it has been gaining some strength throughout the day. Once it hits those cold waters, though, the next few days, it will start to lose that strength. Now, Gabrielle is currently losing strength and probably going to get eventually wrapped up into upper level low and just shoot off up to the north. Now, currently, winds are at 40 miles an hour. Gusts up to 52 miles an hour. Pressure 1,009 millibars. The pressure has been rising, which means that it's losing strength. And as it gets to colder waters, it continues to move up north, it will continue to lose its strength. And the only one who's going to have effect will probably be Newfoundland and Labrador, or Providence, all the way up into Canada as it shoots on up into the northern Atlantic states. So that's a good thing in respect to at least U.S. coast, so nothing to worry about wise. Now, tropical outlook, though, as of September, many things could happen very quickly because it's very conducive for storms. So we do have a 10% broad area low pressure just to the east of the Lesser Antilles. Watching this next 5 days, only 10% chance of development. But really, the big factor of likely development will be this storm out into the Yucatan Peninsula. Now, it's certainly getting itself organized. We see some convection beginning to wrap around the center as it's drifting off into Yucatan Peninsula. And eventually, by tomorrow, we're expecting to go into the Bay of Champagne, and it will therefore get into much warmer waters. We have a 70% chance of development over the next 5 days for our tropical system. However, though, the good thing is models are expecting this to go straight into Mexico, so at least respect to the U.S. coastline, we don't have anything to worry about currently. However, stay tuned, though, with the National Hurricane Center for maybe some quick developments in the next week or so. I'm Jason Ducker, and we're going to go ahead and stand back to the desk now with Tyler and Nikki.
Thanks so much, Jason. And you were kind of talking about the system that we have going on there in the Bay of Campeche in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Not quite there yet, but it's over the Yucatan, and that could be developing in a few days.
Oh, yes. Actually, NHC has put the 2-day outlook at 40% and the 5-day outlook at 70%. So really, we're seeing quite the possibility of our next system working out there.
And this isn't really going to directly impact us, but you know, some of its moisture, I imagine, will be drawn up into our direction. And it's also moving a little bit slower, so that might be good for the system.
It's actually moving 5 to 10 miles per hour. So this thing has time to intensify. It's over those waters, those very warm waters, and really can build quite fast.
Absolutely. And as we've been saying, 3.5 months left of hurricane season. We got to watch these systems very closely. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on weather-wise now. We do have a little bit of rain out there moving in from the east. And, well, the heaviest rain was over the Swanee River Basin a little bit earlier today. As it approached Tallahassee, it kind of fell apart quite a bit as Well, we really would like the rain to cool off from some of the heat that we saw once again today. Again, everything moving from east to west with that influence of the upper level low pressure system. So just a couple of sprinkles as you're going about your evening plans, pretty much right on top of Tallahassee right now. So keep that in mind. But we really need the rain. It says 92 here, but the update just came out before the show and it was 94 for the afternoon high. But I don't think it's quite as hot as last week, at least not as humid, and so that makes it a little bit more bearable as you're walking around class. I was talking to Nikki a couple minutes ago, and we were saying how we both felt dehydrated all last week because of all the heat. Currently, it's 91, so we're waiting on that rain shower to come knocking on our doorstep. Partly cloudy skies. Dew point is at 66 degrees with that east-northeasterly breeze again today, but not as present as it was yesterday. You can definitely tell where it's been raining, not so much in our central and western zones, but to the east, Perry, 73 degrees, rain cooled here. There was also a severe thunderstorm warning earlier for the Live Oak Lake City area, but nothing verified severe weather-wise, just some marginal strong storms. And certainly did pack a punch a little bit earlier today. Plenty of moisture in the mid or and upper levels of the atmosphere as well as at the surface, and so dew points are high, but not as high as they could be for this time of year. And heat index, as a result, is in the mid-90s to near 100 degrees. We've seen a lot worse, but it's certainly still feeling like September here around the Big Bend and South Georgia region. You can see that scattering of showers, especially across the Florida Peninsula, thanks to that upper-level low-pressure system. It's a little closer to us today, so it gave us a little bit more of an influence in our weather pattern. But for the most part, the Panhandle was fairly dry, except for the Suwannee River area, and then up toward the northeast, the system is moving away, and so will be drier once again tomorrow. So overall, not really a bad weather pattern that we're in. It's going to be mostly dry if you have outdoor plans, a few clouds from time to time, and yes, we do have that slight chance of rain, but it's not looking too bad. But as we go into the latter part of the week, that's going to change with an increase of moisture. Cold front comes in. We had that moisture well to the south that will also be influencing our weather pattern, and so that could have an impact on our weekend. But if you're taking the boat out on Thursday, easterly winds 5 to 10 knots, surf about 1 foot. Forecast for tonight, 71 degrees. Watch out for those showers moving in, but shouldn't be too much of a bother. 92, mostly sunny for the day on Wednesday or Thursday in the 7-day forecast. As you can see, we have that gradual uptick in moisture, especially toward the weekend. 50% chance. Nikki, we don't like to see that for our first home game here at Joe Campbell Stadium.
That's right, Tyler. Our first home game, and we're sitting at 50% chance of rain.
What can you do? We can cross our fingers, and otherwise we can bring the ponchos into the
That is
Joe
for
Campbell.
sure. No umbrellas, of course. Those are not allowed in the stadium. But our new quarterback will be out there, James Winston. And then we also will see Wilder and his buddy Freeman. So they'll be running wild and free throughout Joe Campbell.
I love that. It's
So
going to be
great.
quite a sight to see. Make sure you have your garnet and gold attire on, and I think all of us will be no matter where we are. So.
Oh, yes. We will all be prepared. And all, of course, really excited to be screaming for the Seminoles once again this season.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. Of course, we're playing Nevada. That's at 3:30 on Saturday. But let's go ahead and take a look at the 7-day forecast, because we, as I just talked about, can't talk about that enough, because we do have some rain chances as we go toward the weekend.
Some rain chances building into the weekend, so definitely if you are going to the game, bring that poncho like we said. Some possibility for some scattered showers, and it'll be hot at 3:32, so sunglasses as well, maybe even some sunscreen out there.
And then early next week, a little bit drier, a little bit cooler though. I don't see any 90s after Sunday, so that's refreshing, if you will. Let's go ahead and tell you what you can do on Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter, all things at FSU Weather, livestream.com/FSU Weather as well. So that's it for this edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Tyler Allender.
And I'm student meteorologist Nikki Perini. Have a great night.